So, let me tell you one of the craziest stories of my life, because earlier this year we went to Switzerland and we had dinner with none other than Christian von Koenigsegg and the CEO of Bugatti and some other billionaires on the table. It was absolutely insane. And then I'm not even mentioning, before this dinner we already met the vice president of the biggest bank in Liechtenstein. We met the CEO of Rimac. We met a guy who's literally friends with Donald Trump. And one of the most insane weekends ever. And you know what? It's easy to think that it's all luck, but the truth is that there is a blueprint behind all of this, because this is not the first time this happened. I've had a lot more crazy experiences in my life, and in this video I want to tell you exactly what happened here in Switzerland, how were we able to meet these incredible people, and maybe even more importantly, how can you do the same thing? Let's get into it. Oh, by the way, one quick thing, we also vlogged this entire experience, so if you want to see that, click it here, click the link, and it will take you to the full vlog of this trip. So, earlier this year, I was on a phone call with my friend Ilya, and he was like, you know what, bro, I've got tickets, we're going to the ice in St Moritz, you want to come along? And I was like, what's the ice? I don't know what it is, I had no idea. But apparently it turns out that it's a big playground for the rich. It's like this frozen lake in Switzerland, in St Moritz, which is like a rich people's ski resort, where end of January it gets filled up with the most expensive cars in the world. It's like this whole event on the lake that's frozen, and other than that the whole city is just basically filled with millionaires, billionaires, rich people. So obviously I was like, I see an opportunity here, because basically, you know, over the years I've had my fair share of crazy experiences and I'm always down for a big sideways. So I was like, okay, let's go there, let's do it, let's see what we can do, let's have a crazy weekend and let's just see how cool we can make it. So 2 weeks later I was in Munich visiting my friend who would drive us all the way to St Moritz. So stepped in the car, picked up another friend of ours and we drove towards Switzerland, where the first surprise ended up, because we drove by Liechtenstein, a place where I had never been before. So I was like, you know what, we should just step down there, shouldn't we? So that's what we did, and we stopped there, we went outside, we had an incredible boring time. I was like, what the fuck is this Liechtenstein? It's so boring. But it was also lunchtime and I decided, you know what, let's just find the nicest brunch place in town. Let's have a lunch there and let's see who we can meet. Well, long story short, I met the vice president of the Landesbank Liechtenstein there, which is like one of the biggest banks in the city. Met another few people in Liechtenstein, was crazy, and we went on to St Moritz. But in St Moritz itself, we didn't really know anyone, so we checked into our hotel. It was a nice hotel, but it was not the super deluxe top hotel where you meet all the people. And we realized, okay, we gotta be where the magic happens. So that evening we went to town. We went to have dinner in the Kulm Hotel, which is one of the most expensive hotels in town. So yeah, we went there with two girls that we met in the hotel. We had some crazy vibes, we made some crazy content, and then we had our dinner, which was, well, the most overpriced pizza I've ever had in my life. But yeah, I remember we came up, we went up the other stairs, and there was another couple coming down. So I was in a super social mood, and we were going up, and then at the same time there was a couple coming down, like a little bit older, in their 60s. And the guy, seemed rich, he was wearing some cool red pants. So obviously I was like, yo, sorry to interrupt you, but I love your pants. They're actually so cool, they suit you so well. And then his wife was instantly like, oh, Jens, I told you, you shouldn't be worried about them. It's good that you wear them, it's great. You should have listened to me, I told you it wasn't scary. And that was basically all in German, and luckily I speak fluently German, really a life hack by the way. But after that we had the most amazing conversation, we listened to the guy for 2 hours, and he created a company in his 50s, sold it in his 60s, has a ton of supercars, incredibly cool guy. And he actually invited us for a private Ferrari event later that weekend. So I think you get an idea of how these things are already going, right? Because we went up there in the cafe, same thing, all of these rich people, I see one guy sitting alone, I sit down next to him with my tea, I start yapping. Turns out it's some kind of famous journalist. Ah, perfect. Another good connection made, simply because I see someone that's sitting alone, he is scrolling on his phone, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just go talk to him. Everyone wants more friends, everyone wants cool people around them. And if you're alone in a cafe, if you see someone alone, especially if it's a high-end venue, that's basically a sign that you can just go up to them and talk to them. Because they're not here with anyone, they're probably traveling alone, or they're pretty introverted, and these people, they're craving someone else to come up to them and get them out of their shell, you know? So we talked to him, had the most amazing evening, went back home, and that was the first night. That was only the first night. Then the second day came, which was, well, I would say in the grand scheme of things, kind of the more relaxed kind of day, because I booked everything pretty late, so there were no tickets for the ice for the first day, so I wasn't gonna be on the actual ice. But me and Valentine, we went into the city, and there was way more going on than just the ice. First, we were just flexing through the city, we were watching the air show and stuff, and then at one point we come across some kind of Ferrari exhibition where there's a dozen Ferraris standing there, insane cars. And it turns out that it's only for Ferrari owners, right? So we were like, felt kind of shit. So whilst I was trying to warm up my hands and I was like, it's so cold and this and that, my friend Valentine, he was eating his popcorn, like we just got some popcorn, and he was eating his popcorn, and he walked all the way across the cars without the guard noticing. And eventually it turned out he was just chilling there. Yeah, and then eventually Ilya came. We became friends with the security guard as well. Absolute G, if you're watching this, bro. I miss you. Let's catch up next year in St Moritz. And the evening was pretty chill. We just got invited for a private Ferrari members event in the evening by our friend from the night before. He was like, yo guys, you want to come? We were like, oh, absolutely, we'll come by. Jens, Inna, you're absolute legends. I miss you. Next year, let's catch up. But the third day is where it all got crazy. Because we realized we will not be able to meet the people that we want to meet. Let's say the Koenigseggs, the Bugatti dealers, like all of these super interesting people. We will not be able to meet them in public. So we decided in the morning, let's head to Suvretta house, one of the nicest hotels in town, and let's just have breakfast there to soak in the atmosphere and meet some people. And immediately there, already, whilst we were going there, I met a guy in a suit, some girls, cool guy, seemed rich, was very rich, was packing his G-Wagon with his wife. We connected and we were like, oh, let's meet at the ice later. And yeah, then we went in there, we had the most amazing breakfast, we met some more people, we soaked up the atmosphere, this rich atmosphere, and we were like, let's go to the ice. We're pumped up, let's go there. So we drove there, it was super busy, we walked up in there, and then you're in a playground. Then I was in my kind of playground, like everywhere. I was wearing this fur coat. And this coat, I swear to God, that I was wearing was the most incredible opener ever because people just came up to me. It's like, oh, I love your jacket. Oh, I love your jacket as well. And then you start talking, you have a great time, and before you know it, you're talking with the wife of some Russian oligarch or something. That's how simple it goes. So yeah, we made some nice connections, made some nice videos, and then Ilya went somewhere to see a friend. I was like, oh, sure. And I went with another guy, we went to the stands. We were just chilling there when my friend Ilya called me super enthusiastically, bro, you gotta come now, come to the Bugatti stand. I'm standing there and I was like, bro, I'm literally just meeting people and people here. Why would I leave? Like, I'm having a great time here. But then I was like, oh, you know what, Bugatti Rimac, let's go. Let's see what he's up to. And you have to imagine, these stands there, especially if you go in there, they're private. They're for people that are guests or people that are invited. Not everyone can come in there. It's pure hospitality. You get infinite drinks, infinite food. And I remember walking up there, and he was indeed there. He was chilling there with the owner of Rimac. He was just chilling there. We met another guy the day before that worked for Rimac, so it was an easy introduction for me. Well, we met the owner of Rimac. And then Marco was there again, so we shared some drinks, we had a good time. Some more people came to us, and basically Rimac was the stand next to the Bugatti one. So Bugatti was a little bit more busy than Rimac, but it was two in the corner. And then another guy appeared, like Sean. And then another guy appeared, Sean, and you know, he really loved his cigars and he was an interesting person. We talked a little bit and I was like, oh, this guy has some insane connections. And it just got more and more fun along the way. Like within no time, I found a group of Dutch people there. We became friends within no time. We had the most insane time. Drinking wine, drinking champagne, eating snacks, just doing crazy stuff. They're lifting each other up in the air, getting pictures, and it was just insane. Like I met these people 30 minutes ago and we became friends so quickly. And then at one point it was like, the sun is kind of starting to set, let's just chill in the chairs there. And the craziest thing happened because me and the girl, we were sitting there, we were having an empty glass of champagne, and then suddenly some old man, who turns out to be one of the C-suite members of Bugatti, comes up to us and he's like, oh, should I refill your drinks? Come inside, let me refill your drinks. So that guy refilled our drinks. Like we literally had our drinks refilled by one of the C-suite members of Bugatti. How insane is that? Yeah, we just drank some more and all the people came making pictures of the cars, which also means that they were taking pictures of us because we were in the back end, and it just felt like, oh yeah, I'm living life like a movie star here, absolutely. And I forgot to tell you that there's another big value add that I was able to give everyone there, because I brought the camera, the one that I use to film right now, which also shoots incredible pictures. So what did I do? For everyone who was posing there with the car with their iPhone, I was like, hey, I have the camera, should I take a picture of you? Oh yeah, lovely, this and that, it's amazing. So I just took a bunch of pictures of all kinds of rich people there, and obviously you just have to exchange numbers in order to send them later. And that's probably the biggest life hack ever to connect. It's crazy. But at one point we decided, okay, it is time to move on. It's time to move away, and Ilya was like, oh, we should go to the Bugatti Palace. And I thought, honestly, you're not gonna get in there. So I was like, oh, just go there first. I'll chill a little bit more here on ice, meet some more people. So that's what happened. Ilya went to the Badru to check it out there, and I stayed at the ice to just meet some people, which indeed happened because I went to the exit, and then I started talking to two younger guys there, like two Swiss guys, seemed like rich kids, seemed pretty cool. So we talked. They told me that they were going to the Suvretta, exchanged Instagrams, and I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, sure, let's see. So eventually Ilya calls me, he's like, bro, we were not able to make it to the boat route, like, what should we do? And I was like, bro, you know what we should do? We just met some people going to the Suvretta. Let's go there with the car, let's just drive there. So eventually we drove to the Suvretta, which took us 1 hour for like 2 kilometers, absolutely crazy traffic. But at least we could see a lot of cool cars. And then eventually we pulled up in there at that hotel. And you have to imagine Suvretta is a hotel up the mountain. It's one of the most luxurious hotels in the world. And during the ice, that hotel is reserved for guests only during dinner. There is no way non-guests are allowed in. There's a whole corridor that blocks people from entering. And that was kind of fucked up, you know? We wanted to go in there. We made it all the way here and we were not guests and we were blocked there. So we went to a different corridor in the hotel and we were just like, what should we do? And then I decided to go back to my roots, because back in 2021, I used to run a channel with a friend where we just broke into places for free. Like we got free food, free McDonald's, free amusement parks, free zoo. We walked in everywhere for free. And this time we were in a big playground in Switzerland, in the most luxurious hotels in the world. So we were like, how do we do this? And then I figured, you know what? We should do the toilet trick. And what is the toilet trick? Well, basically we went up there to the corridor. And there's like a bunch of workers standing there, most of which are Italians, which is great because I just learned Italian. And in Italian, I just spoke to him like, bro, my friend, he has some issues. He really needs to go to the toilet. Can we just check the toilet real quick? And I was like, yeah, bro, go. Don't worry, no worries. We walked past the corridor. We went into the toilets and we locked ourselves in there for, I think, 10-15 minutes. And bear in mind, this is inside the hotel, you know, it's where the guests go to the toilet. So basically, we go out there, nobody assumes that we don't belong there anymore. So after like 10-15 minutes, we were like, let's try to go outside of the hotel. And right at that moment, when we decided to go outside of the toilet, our Swiss boys pull up in there. They're like, bros, what are you doing in here? Are you also having dinner here? Come have dinner with us. And we were like, this is perfect. So we walked out the toilet with the Swiss guys towards wherever it is that they were sitting in the hotel. And we were in. We had a nice dinner. We had some nice talks. Crazy, crazy guys as well. And then at one point, Ilya decides, let me go smoke some cigars. So he went to, together with Valentin, he went to smoke some cigars. And I decided to talk to the group of people next to me, which happened to have some kind of luxury travel society. They were there for a trip. And eventually I was like, hey, you guys want to come to the cigar lounge as well? Our friends are there. And we all went to the cigar lounge. We sat there with like 10, 15, 20 people on one table, just having an amazing time, other people joining. It was already super social. But at one point, I thought, I need some fresh air. So me and Ilya, we walked outside to get some fresh air. And then right at that moment, there is a gang of people coming in. First guy in the group, Koenigsegg. Other people, we immediately knew this is his entourage. This is great, they're coming to chill in the same cigar lounge where we were sitting with our group. This is interesting. So I got some energy, we got some fresh air. We got back and we wanted to just go back to our place in the cigar lounge when another guy walked out. And he belonged to the entourage of Koenigsegg, so I was like, you know what, let me start talking to him. And I just mentioned like that I loved his glasses, which I genuinely did. Like I loved his glasses, they were really cool. I opened with a big smile, super open, and he just started telling us for a minute where his glasses are from. And we asked him some more questions about, okay, what is he doing here? What brought him to Switzerland? And eventually, before we knew it, we had a talk of an hour with this guy. He was telling us how he met his wife, how he did a road trip in the USA when he was 25, when he was my age. We basically took him back to his youth fully. We let him talk and talk and talk, and he felt like he was 25 again, and he just yapped and he talked and he talked and he had the best time. And afterwards he was like, oh guys, by the way, I have to go, but here's my card. If you guys need anything, just send me a message. Turns out this guy owns one of the biggest outdoor furniture companies in the entire world. He's almost a billionaire. Interesting connection. And a leverage point to use if we wanted to get in contact with Koenigsegg, right? So at that point, we were already like, this is amazing. So Ilya went inside, he got the cigars. I went back and I was like, let's just chill for a bit. And then I was just sitting there with some random dude when a random woman came up to me. She was like, I love your jacket in German. I was like, yeah, I love your jacket as well. Yeah, you wanna try it on? I'll let her try it on. And turns out that it was some kind of, not really a bachelor party, but it was just basically rich Germans getting drunk in a chalet up the mountain, and now they were staying in the hotel, ordering bottles of champagne worth 1,000 bottles, and I was just like, nice. Which was great. Like at one point she was literally ordering us a bottle of like 2k euros in champagne. But at one point I was like, you know what? I gotta get some fresh air again, right? So wanted to go outside, but guess what I found? A piano. And if you know me, that's my party trick. It's what I started doing 3, 4, 5 years ago, something like that. And I've become pretty damn good since. I can play nearly every song. I'm really sad that I never learned it as a kid because I'm fucking damn good at it. But it's my party trick now and I love it so much. So I decided, you know what? Let's just start playing in the lobby. And I started playing piano, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And at one point, without noticing, there was a guy standing behind me and clapping. I loved it. This is beautiful. Can you play this in this song? So I played a song for him. And we talked a little bit more, and then at one point he was like, oh, I gotta go, but if you want, like, come drink wine with us. We're just sitting in the cigar lounge. So I went behind him, and I was already thinking, this can go 2 ways. Either he belongs to our group, or he belongs to Koenigsegg's group. Turns out he belonged to Koenigsegg's group, and he was sitting right in the middle of the table, with a chair next to him being free, because that's the guy that I just met, who just left, the one with the glasses in the outer furniture company. So there was a seat free next to him, and I just sat down. And I started talking to everyone. I started talking to the person in front of me, which was some kind of oil billionaire. Person left for me, software guy, making millions. But those are all things that I figured out later, because initially we weren't talking about that. I just started, I made a compliment. I asked them some things. They told me their story. I told them how I just came back from earlier this summer working in a mountain hut. Gave them some travel tips to go with their wives, because take in mind, they were all sitting there with their wife. Like these people, you have to imagine billionaires, some of the most influential peoples in the world. They loved me, we had a great time, but there was one thing that they were shaming me for. And it was that I didn't have a partner. That I was against having a partner. That I was like, oh, I'll figure everything out by myself, and when I have my shit together, I'll get a partner. And they were like, no, that's not how it works. They all built their empires together with their wives, with their partners. And that kind of shocked me, because in this online business space where we were in, it's kind of normal to just be single and grind and do things by yourself, and date around a little bit. But that wasn't something that I was into anymore either way. And now them telling that was kind of like, maybe they're right. And then randomly at 3 a.m. some ogres pull up, some butlers, and they pull up like all of this spaghetti. And we could just feast there. We had way too much spaghetti to eat. I gifted some of my friend Ilya, who was now also at the table. And we were just laughing and drinking. It was 3 a.m., 4 a.m. and I think it was eventually 4:50 when we left, like crazy. And he rented out the entire lounge at the hotel, Koenigsegg. Eventually talked to a bunch more people there. Talked to a guy that's literally friends with Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, Barron Trump, all of these people. He's always in the war room. I told him what I was doing at the time, the company where I was CMO for. And he was like, oh, yo, bro, that's interesting. Tomorrow, let's have lunch. Invite your CEO and we'll have a chat and we can see how we can work together. Keep in mind, this is a guy worth tens, hundreds of millions of dollars being friends with Trump and Zuckerberg, and he just invites me for a lunch to talk business without knowing me, without knowing anything about what I offer. And he's just like, because he likes me and he trusts me and I'm in that environment, he's like, oh yeah, let's chat, easy. And that's when I realized it's all about being in the right rooms as well. There are so many lessons that I have learned from this that I will also talk about very shortly in the second part of this, because at one point 4:50 we went back and it was basically over. It was time, and I said bye to all the people, to Koenigsegg, to his wife, to Johan, to all the others out there. Crazy good people. Like, if any of you are watching this, I fucking love you. We'll come back next year with a bigger group of friends. And eventually we got back to the car. It turns out we had like a big parking fine, but we didn't even care. We realized what's possible in this world. How there is literally no limitation. How you can go to a new place. A place where you know some interesting people hang out. And you are able to meet them. It's not impossible. You think it is. But if you open your mind and if you know how to do it, you're humble and everything, you can meet these people. It's very much possible. So yeah, enough for the story. Time to tell you actually what the lessons are we can take from this and how the blueprint will look like. So yeah, time to share some of the lessons that I learned, because obviously from a weekend like this, we reflected, I wrote down a lot of lessons and I realized that none of this is luck. All of this is skill. You can teach yourself to be in contact, to get in contact with the most insane people in the world. If you want to speak to an F1 driver, you can make that happen in a week. I guarantee you, everything is possible. But what did I specifically learn from this story? It all starts with one baseline thing. You got to go where they are. So for example, if you want to meet F1 drivers, you got to be there where either they live and they have off season and they relax. So that's Monaco. That's where I met Kimi Antonelli, for example. Back when he wasn't an F1 driver, by the way. Yet you can also look at it from a different way. Because in weekends where these F1 drivers have a race, they also have free time. It's not like they're on track 24/7. And what are they doing when they're not on track, or before the race or after the race? They might very well be in their hotels, either having some food, being in the spa, relaxing, because guess it or not, these people are human. So what can you do to capitalize on that? You could go to the city where a race is being held, and instead of going to the paddock club and paying tons of money for access to F1 drivers where it's pay to win, where the drivers don't give a shit about you, you can also decide to just go to the hotels where they're staying. You get a room there, or even better, you just walk in looking confident. And then you just go camping in the spa all day. You're just sitting there, chilling there, and you're just waiting till one of them comes in, because you know, okay, this is the nicest hotel in town. Some F1 drivers are staying here. And if it's not the F1 drivers, it might be the personnel that you can talk to and connect with. So you're just chilling in the spa, you keep going in there, you're camping there, and as soon as someone enters, you just happen to coincidentally get together, you talk, if it's a famous F1 drivers, you pretend like you don't know who they are, and you just genuinely connect. It's like, oh, well, we're both staying in the same hotel, we're both interesting people. If you vibe, you vibe. If you don't vibe, you don't vibe. And now you have the opportunity to actually become friends with an F1 driver instead of paying thousands of dollars to see them in the paddock. You know what? If you pull this one off and you become friends with an F1 driver, they invite you there and they greet you there and they can introduce you to other drivers. And at the same time, all of the masses, all of the rich masses are just paying for access. And in a way, this is exactly what we did here with Koenigsegg, of course. We went to St Moritz, but instead of paying for the ice and, trying to show off and to flex and to see these persons as gods, what we did is we just literally looked ourselves in the hotel where these guys are staying. We went in there, we had dinner, we started yapping with them, we were invited to sit there, and we became friends with them simply because we were now in the same room. We were in a room where only people who are qualified even get into in the first place. It's an exclusive room, so if you can get into that room, if you can talk your way in or sneak your way in, and you can genuinely feel like you belong there, and you do all the things that I'm about to tell you as well, you will be able to make these connections, you will be able to make these friends way better than paying for any kind of access. And obviously for me, I had the benefit, I played piano. And because I played piano and that guy watched, he invited me there. I already had a warm intro into that room where they trusted me because I got by there from another member. I knew the name of another member of the group, so they just assumed that I belonged there. And now I'm not saying that you have to learn piano, but there is all kinds of different party tricks or like unique things you can learn to stand out, to use in these kinds of situations. So for me, it's been piano, but it's also speaking a lot of languages. So for example, if you would learn Swedish, like a super niche language, whenever you meet a famous Swedish person somewhere and you start speaking Swedish and you tell them that you're not from Sweden, they're like, oh, this is amazing, where did you learn it? And you become able to have an actual genuine conversation on that. Super simple. Just because you stand out. So yeah, think about that for yourself. What are some unique traits, some unique talents that you have? Things that you're better at than others that you can show off in a lot of different environments and actually cultivate that one. And then going back to how I approached them, I treated them like humans because guess what? Surprise, surprise, they are human. So even if they're famous, just approach them like any other human. Just give them a compliment about something they're wearing or make some kind of joke about the environment and just treat them like anyone else, because with some of these celebrities you will actually vibe, with some of them you won't, and it's fine. It's like the same with anyone else in the world. So make these jokes, give compliments, and make sure, super importantly, don't talk business. Don't make it an interview. Like, for sure, ask them questions, get their story out. That's something that they love. Make them feel like they're 25 again. Be interested in them and not in what they do right now, but in what they used to do, their journey, different things about their personality, especially if they already taught you what to do, which oftentimes they won't know because they're not pretentious. They don't want to flex with what they do. They're not going to say that they run $1 billion business. They might just say, oh, we're in oil. And then if you would ever be going to their house, you'd pull up in some kind of mega mansion. That's how it works. So there's no need to show off. It's just a need. These people want to be treated like humans. They want to be with other humans. And the problem is that generally speaking, people that are not on that level, they treat them like upper humans. They treat them differently. So they obviously always fall to other people on their level, to say it like that, either super wealthy or super famous. Because for those people, these accolades, these achievements, they don't matter anymore. It's about what kind of person are you? How many stories do you have to tell? How interesting are you? And that's why it's so sad what's happening in this online business world, where everyone seems to be just locking themselves in. Just working, grinding in their 20s, in the time that they should get stories. For the first 3 years of my 20s, I just traveled, backpacking every single free moment that I could. I traveled the world. I have so many crazy stories from that. I learned so many social skills. And imagine if I spent that time locking myself in, just grinding on a business, sitting behind my screen. That wouldn't make me a more interesting person. It wouldn't allow me to speak the languages that I speak now, to speak the stories to these people that I was able to tell them now. That's why it's so important to maximize the stories that you can tell. Live for the story, write the most epic story as you can. And that's something that will make you infinitely more interesting to these kind of people, especially if you treat them like humans. Which also brings me to another point. You've got to be universally educated. The more you know about different things, at least be educated a little bit about it, whether it's wine, whether it's some politics, whether it's business, finance, all of these topics. If you genuinely understand some things about it, and you know the words that they use, and you know what's trending in that space, and you just know the basics, it allows you to connect with people so much quicker, so much deeper, because they assume that you now are someone that knows these things, that belongs to their world. And as soon as they think that you're part of their world, it's easier to link with them. It's just how that works. So these weird Wikipedia things that you're reading at 2 a.m. when you're procrastinating, it's not always a bad thing, And then the last thing I want to tell you is that you gotta be humble. Because these people, as much as I always say level with them, be the same, you're not. They see that you're younger than them, generally speaking. Of course, you're probably a little bit less successful than them in your journey right now. But what they appreciate is someone being hungry. What they appreciate is someone being humble. And if you combine these things, you're humble and you're hungry and you're interested, they see somehow a young version of themselves inside of you. And that's what you want to cultivate in them, especially if you're young. Which means do your research about them. Be humble. Have manners. Know how to speak. Know when to shut up. Know how to approach them. Know when there's signals like, should back down a little. And above all, if you ask anything, whether it's to connect, whether it's to, get some advice about things, be humble about it. Be honest about it. Just be you and don't try to be pretentious in any way or not. They'll see through it. But before you leave, there is one more thing, because as much as this blueprint truly works, it does be the result of me traveling the world for 5 years, organizing events, talking to people, figuring this stuff out. This blueprint and the tips that I show you are just the top of the layer. Without the social skills, the right mindset and confidence, and all the stories that make you an interesting person, you're gonna have a pretty hard time, honestly, getting the same results. But I also wanna show you, this is where I came from. This was me only 5 years ago, stuck at uni, no purpose, barely any good friends, let alone, of course, not a business. I spent 5 years learning all of this, traveling the world to over 27 countries, like I said, organizing events, talking to people, getting rejected a million times. It just won't take you 5 years anymore, because I've created something that can take the years into months, if not into weeks. Project Main Character. It's a place for young people around the world that want to turn their life into a movie. Traveling the world with an amazing group of friends, having a global network of people all around the world, building towards your true purpose, constantly going on great adventures and side quests, and all of that with an amazing family of friends around you. Living life to write the most epic story as you can. But that's the way I live my life, and that's the way I want you to live your life as well. Over the last 6 months, I've taught dozens of entrepreneurs to live their dream lifestyle one-on-one. So I've put everything I learned over the last 5 years into one blueprint that you can now get access to as a founding member. 6 chapters that will literally change your life. On top of that, you'll be able to speak to me on weekly calls. You get to watch lectures from some of my most insane friends, maybe Koenigsegg later, who knows. You can participate in social challenges to earn rewards. And you'll get priority access to my travel network, Aventura, where me and my friends travel the world and go on adventures together. And the craziest thing is my one-on-one programs start from 3K. But this one, I want to make a proper big impact. So if you're part of the first 50 founding members, you get the chance to join for only $29. $29. Like, bear in mind, we're talking about the same sauce that got me to have dinner with Christian von Koenigsegg. The same sauce that got me to consistently meet F1 drivers, artists, just live an insane life for myself, have over 2,000 videos in my camera roll, traveling to over 27 countries. That's the sauce you're getting. It's crazy. So without fluff, I hope you got a lot of value out of this video. Get your ass inside and let's create an epic life together. Oh, by the way, if you prefer working with me one-on-one, every 6 weeks I open a new cohort of 5 people, 5 entrepreneurs that I help one-on-one to upgrade their social lifestyle. If that's you, if you're an entrepreneur and you want my help one-on-one, send me a DM on Instagram and I'll send you all the details. Bye.